Welcome to this Soulard Technology Vanderbilt SMS training session. Today we'll be looking at System Manager and automatic overrides, specifically for creating and applying a time zone. To begin, we will start in System Manager. When that program loads, you will navigate down to Time Zones, Holidays, and Lockdowns from the left section and select Time Zone Intervals. By default, you will see an always time zone and a never time zone, and those will be grayed out. Those are system defaults and can't be edited and shouldn't be edited. And then you will see your other time zones that you have created in the top half of the screen, and the time zone that's selected. You'll see the intervals in the bottom half, or if you're using the calendar view, you'll see the calendar in the bottom half. To create a new time zone, you'll hit the plus icon in the top part of the screen. You will give that a description. So we'll say main entrance unlock. And we'll say 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. When it comes to time zones, there are two types of time zones that you want to pay attention to. Door unlock time zones that you'll apply in automatic overrides, and cardholder access time zones, which you will use in Access Manager and cardholder definitions. These two time zones shouldn't be mixed. In fact, if a schedule is already applied to a door, you won't see that listed in cardholder definitions, but you can apply a cardholder access time zone, I believe, to a door. When you do that, you want to be careful, because if you do adjust that time zone for the cardholder, it will also adjust that time zone for the door. So you really would like to keep these separate and specify when you're creating the time zone, whether it's for access or whether it's for an unlock schedule. With door unlock schedules, you do have the option of this calendar managed intervals checkbox. And you'll see here that is restricted to automatic overrides, meaning that it's restricted to door schedules. That is what allows this calendar view to be seen. To start with this one, even though we're using this as a door unlock schedule, we're going to keep this unchecked. And I'm going to hit save and close. So that will default to this view down here. And by default, it has the 12 a.m. to midnight time zone with no days selected. So we have this 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. And if you needed to edit this, so say you wanted to edit this to put in here Monday through Friday, you can double click on that to open up the time zone definition, hit save and close, and that will change it. If you notice with this open and this time zone like this down at the bottom, this section here is now grayed out. If you hover over this, it will tell you why. And it's because the time zone has time zone intervals which do not have any days or times selected or chosen. So you can't convert a time zone from the interval view to a calendar view if there's a blank line item in there. This will also be grayed out if that time zone's already been applied to a card holder, or if it has multiple, I believe, even if it has a time zone selected, if there's multiple in here and one of them is blank, that will also avoid this from working. So we will close this here, and we'll come down to the bottom here. To edit this, we will double click on this line to open up the interval definition. And then from here, we can change this to 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. And we'll select the days that we want: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. The holiday box, if the holiday box is checked, that means this time zone will stay active and door will unlock even if that door and that controller has a holiday applied to it. If the holiday box is unchecked, then the holiday that is set up in holidays will override the door schedule and keep the door locked. So if Christmas is on a Monday and this is set to open up 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. on a Monday without this holiday box checked, that Christmas holiday schedule will override this time zone and keep the door locked. If this box is checked, then this schedule will override the holiday, and even though the other doors in that building may lock, this one will stay open because this is overriding the holiday set. This will be the same for card holders as well. If a card holder has access 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday, and this holiday box is checked, then even on a holiday, they could still get into the building. If the holiday box is not checked, then their card will not work on that holiday, even if it's on a Monday or Tuesday when they typically have access to the building. So that's something that you want to consider when you're creating the cardholder access levels and these the door unlock schedules, is who needs access to the buildings even on holidays. We're going to leave this unchecked so that this door stays locked during a holiday, and we'll hit save and close. So now this time zone interval has been created. It still has not been applied to a door, which we will do in a minute here in automatic overrides, but the time zone itself is created. If you wanted to edit this time zone, you would just double click on this line again. Say we're changing this to 7 o'clock in the morning. You would change that to 7. Click off of that and then hit save and close, and that would change it to 7. Notice it does not change the description up here in the top half of the screen. It does change the interval, but not the description. So if I was making this change and it was a permanent change, I would come up here at the top, double click on this, and change this to 7 a.m. as well, so that you would see this reflected in automatic overrides and the description matches the actual time of that time zone. Now that we've filled in that blank time zone interval in the bottom, this calendar manage intervals box is now re-enabled, and you can select this. So even though we set this up as a interval, we can now go to calendar manage intervals and view the calendar view. When you select that, you see this intervals active during holidays. This is going to work exactly how this holiday box worked. If it's unchecked, then the holiday will overwrite this time zone. If this is checked, like this, then this time zone will override the holiday and stay unlocked in a holiday. We're going to uncheck that and hit save and close. We'll expand this bottom half here. And now you can see that we're in the calendar view and we have the main entrance unlocked 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. You can see it on the days, and it says the time here, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. When you're in this view, there's a couple different ways that you could view this. Over here on the right, you have the calendar. So you could click on a specific day. Say we just wanted to see today, February 21st. I just click on that one day, and now I'm seeing just that day view. You can also click and drag to see a week view, or if you want to see just a couple days, you could see the full month, and it would show that view as well. So a couple different views that you could go between. I like the weekly view, gives you a good overview of it. Once you have the view selected that you want, or if you're going into the future, you can add and edit days within this. So today, if it was an early release for school, or there was a holiday and the office was only open until noon, there's a couple different ways you could edit this time zone within the calendar view. You can go to that day, go down to the edge of the box, get to where you have this view with the up and down arrow. You can click and you can drag this. So you can drag it shorter so that it closes at 12 p.m. You could click it, drag it longer if the office was staying open late. If you wanted it to stay open and unlocked until 8 p.m. You can also double click on this day, and it's going to ask you if you want to edit just this one occurrence or the entire series. You want to be careful when making this selection, especially when you're deleting or making a change, because you don't want to accidentally change every occurrence from here forward, or you don't want to accidentally, if you're trying to delete this day, to delete every day going forward. In this case, we just want to do this one occurrence. We'll hit OK. And then we can just change it in here to, say, 10 p.m. if we want it to stay open until 10 p.m. Hit OK. And then it's going to change that here. And you can see it's going to be open until 10 p.m. If you wanted to delete it, you could right click on it, hit delete. Again, delete occurrence or the series. We just want this one occurrence. We're going to delete that. As soon as you make this change in here, if this schedule's already been applied to the door in automatic overrides, whatever you change in here will affect the door immediately. If you wanted to change the series instead of just the occurrence, so I'm going to go back a day, right click on or double click on this time zone, and I'm going to actually edit the entire series. So we're going to open the series, and then from here you're going to select recurrence, and now you have a lot of options here to edit this occurrence. So right now we have 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Say we're going to change that back to 8 a.m. And again, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It's a weekly occurrence. There's no end date that we want to put in. We'll hit OK. This message is going to pop up, especially when there's a date. So I went back a date to the 20th. There's been a change to this occurrence because I deleted the 21st from the calendar. And it's just letting us know that any exceptions associated with this recurring event will be lost. We'll hit OK. Back to this screen, we'll hit OK again. And now you can see that it did add this day back in, even though I had previously deleted it. So if you had made a change to this series weeks in advance, and you make a change to the daily schedule, it is going to affect everything, any of those changes that you made. That's with this specific series though. If you came down to say tomorrow and we wanted to add the office, or say it's a school and it's open for parent-teacher conferences or something specific in the evening, you can go to that time or roughly that time, double click, and it's going to open up this box for you to add another event. So we're just going to call this test, and for the 22nd we're going to say 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. We're going to hit OK, and now it added this separate event on Thursday, February 22nd from 8 to 9 p.m. This is separate than this occurrence here. So if you did go back here, we're going to right click this time and edit the series. Go to recurrence. Say we're changing this to 5 p.m. and 7 a.m. back to what it was in the title. Hit OK, hit OK again. Now it did change 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. going forward, but this is still in the time zone as it was set. Go back to recurrence. We will change this to 5 p.m. Okay, and okay. So now this is back to what it was set up, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. going forward, but we do still have this test time in here from 8 to 9 p.m. on February 22nd. If you don't want to use holidays to lock down a door, say you only have a couple entrances that you want to take the schedule off, you could go in advance. So over here on the right, say we're going to go to the first week of April. So we're going to highlight the 31st of March and the first week of April. Say the April 1st you have off, you can right click on this date, delete. We're just going to delete that occurrence, and now that occurrence is deleted. And you can see over here on the right, any of the dates that are bolded have a schedule applied. If it's not bolded, there's no schedule for that date. We're going to go back to this week. Now, if you're using the calendar view, you can go back to the interval view, but you will lose any special times that you have assigned, like this test date that we did. If you wanted to transfer back to the interval view, you can double click on the title up there, uncheck this, hit save and close, and it's going to warn you that any entries for this time zone will be removed and only the current active intervals will remain. The main interval that was used for this was that 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. So that's the only thing that you will see when you transfer back to that interval view from the calendar view. In most cases, once you're on the interval view, you will not move away from that. So that's how you create the time zone. Again, if you have a time zone that you've already created, so say this cleaning crew access time zone for cardholder access, and I double click on that and I want to try to move it to the calendar interval view for a time zone, you'll see here this is grayed out, and if you hover over it, it'll say because it's being used for area access and category area link access, so it's not going to allow you to change it to that view for a door schedule. One other thing to be careful of when you're in time zone intervals is the checkbox and what is actually displayed here when editing. So right now I have the cleaning crew access schedule checked and selected, and that's what I see here in the header. But if I click on the main entrance unlock schedule, even though the cleaning crew is still checked, you can see here with the main title that I'm actually editing the main entrance unlock 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. schedule. So you want to make sure whichever one you're selecting actually and wanting to edit is actually selected and the header matches what you're trying to edit. So once you have your schedule created, you will go exit out of System Manager and you will open up automatic overrides. Automatic overrides is where you're going to actually apply the schedule. You'll see a few different automatic override tasks that are created through the template that you use when you're programming a reader. Most cases you can sort by device description, and you'll see that for the east entrance, for example, you have several tasks that are associated with it. Exit request, reporting disabled, several reporting disabled options, keypad reader if you want to activate that if it has one, interior push button disabled, things like that. The one that you want to look for a time zone is the unlock reader indefinitely. By default, it's going to be never, which means the door will never automatically be unlocked. It will always require a card read to be unlocked. So we're going to scroll down to the main entrance exterior, and we're going to find the unlock reader indefinitely for the main entrance exterior. We're going to double click this line, and under here, under time zone, we're going to change it from never to main entrance unlock. As you can see the cardholder access time zones, but again, you want to make sure that you only use schedules that are meant for unlock schedules for doors, and only use ones that are meant for cardholder access for cardholder access. We're going to check this main entrance unlock, hit OK, and then we're going to, there's a couple of options here that you can select. Credential enabled means that it won't actually unlock at 7 a.m. It'll unlock after 7 a.m. after the first person with access to that door has swiped at it. That would ensure that the door doesn't open at 7 a.m. if somebody's not there, but it would require somebody at 7 a.m. to go and actually swipe at the door to toggle it into its schedule. You attach a pair of suspend and restore manual overrides. This is a good option to check regardless of whether or not you're going to use it immediately. This will create in manual overrides 2 tasks, one to suspend that schedule for the rest of the day and one that can restore it. It's just a good option to have and a good practice to get into of selecting that immediately, just so that if you want it, you don't have to come back in here and check this box later on. Once you have this selected and set up the way you want, hit save and close. And now you can see here for the main entrance exterior, we have the main entrance unlock set up. We have for the unlock reader indefinitely. And now this door will go in its schedule at 7 a.m. It will lock again at 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. So when this door is in a schedule, it won't read card reads. So if you have the transaction monitor open and somebody tries to swipe at it, it won't generate a card holder transaction saying denied or access granted, the reader will just beep. The reader will be green, as you can see in the override actions here at the bottom. When this is on a schedule, it's going to shunt the door contacts. It will shunt the Rex if there is one. It'll energize the go relay. It'll turn the LED green on the reader. So the reader will be green. It won't read cards, but the door will be unlocked. If we were using that same time zone for the vestibule, we could put that in here. Or we may keep the vestibule locked. Keep that to never if the office has a push button that they use to buzz people in from that vestibule, so if somebody could get into the vestibule area but not actually into the rest of the building, that would require somebody to buzz them in. Or you could put that on the same time zone as the main entrance exterior, so that when one unlocks, they both unlock. And then if you edit that time zone to say 8 a.m., it would also affect the main entrance vestibule as well. That's one thing to be careful of if you have a lot of interior doors that are using the same schedule. If you only want one to lock or unlock, you just need to know if they're all using the same interior schedule. It will affect all the doors that are using that schedule. So that concludes System Manager and automatic overrides for creating a time zone.